Hello everyone, and welcome to my Young and the Restless official 24 channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before we begin, please hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. No one in Genoa City saw it coming, the shocking, jaw-dropping moment when Paul Williams stormed back into town after years of silence. His sudden reappearance didn't come quietly, either. It came with fury, heartbreak, and one unforgettable punch that sent Danny Romalotti crashing to the floor. The world of the Young and the Restless just tilted on its axis, and Christine Blair's life will never be the same again. This wasn't a warm reunion. It was a storm, years of betrayal, misunderstandings, and repressed emotions exploding in one volcanic instant that left everyone in stunned silence. It all began in the most unexpected place, society. Christine had been sitting with Danny, laughing softly as the two reminisced about their past. They had shared a glass of wine, exchanging looks that hinted at rekindled affection. The spark between them had been obvious for months, but Christine had convinced herself that this time, it was harmless. That she wasn't betraying anyone. That Paul had chosen to disappear, and she had the right to move on. But deep down, she knew that part of her still belonged to the man who once made her feel invincible. As Christine reached across the table to touch Danny's hand, the door swung open, hard enough to make every head in the restaurant turn. There he was. Paul Williams. Older, yes. Hardened, absolutely. But still carrying that commanding presence that could silence a room with a single glance. The years away hadn't softened him. They'd carved him into someone colder, sharper, and far less forgiving. The air shifted instantly. Christine's breath caught in her throat as Paul's blue eyes locked onto her, then shifted to Danny's hand resting over hers. "Paul," Christine whispered, standing up slowly, her voice trembling. But before she could say another word, Paul closed the distance between them in 3 long strides. The tension in the room was suffocating. Danny rose to his feet, stammering something about explanations, but Paul didn't want words. He wanted answers, and retribution. Without warning, Paul's fist connected squarely with Danny's jaw. The impact was brutal, the sound echoing through the restaurant like a thunderclap. Danny fell back, hitting the edge of a chair as shocked gasps erupted from every table around them. Christine screamed his name and rushed forward, but Paul's glare froze her mid-step. The fury in his eyes wasn't just about jealousy. It was about betrayal, years of pain that had been simmering in silence while Christine built a new life without him. Security rushed over, but Paul raised a hand to stop them. His voice was low but dangerous. "Don't," he said, staring down at Danny. "This one's between us." Danny, bleeding from the lip, tried to speak, but Paul's words cut through him like a knife. "You took what wasn't yours. Again." Christine's heart was pounding as she reached for Paul's arm, but he jerked away. "Paul, please," she pleaded, tears welling in her eyes. "It's not what you think." But Paul's anger was years in the making. "Not what I think," he snapped. "You think I haven't watched from a distance? You think I didn't know how fast you ran back to him the minute I was gone?" His voice cracked slightly, revealing the pain underneath the rage. "You think I didn't see the way you looked at him, the way you still look at him?" Christine tried to speak, but the words caught in her throat. Everyone was staring, Abby, Phyllis, even Michael Baldwin had frozen nearby, completely shocked by the confrontation. Genoa City had seen scandals, betrayals, even fights before, but nothing like this. This was raw emotion, unfiltered and dangerous. Danny tried to stand, wiping the blood from his mouth. "Paul, man, listen, it's not like that," he said, his voice trembling. "Chris and I." "Don't call her that," Paul barked, his voice full of venom. "You don't get to call her that anymore." Christine reached out again, her voice breaking. "Paul, please, stop this. You don't understand what's been happening." Paul's eyes softened for a fraction of a second, as if torn between love and fury. And then he said them, the 3 words that shattered Christine's world. Words that would echo in her mind for the rest of her life. "You replaced me." 3 words. That's all it took. Christine froze, her lips trembling as the color drained from her face. The entire room fell silent, save for the faint sound of Danny's labored breathing. Paul's statement hit harder than the punch ever could. It wasn't just anger, it was heartbreak laid bare. Christine tried to explain, her voice trembling. Paul, I didn't replace you. You left. You were gone for years without a word. I thought you didn't want. Paul's expression twisted. You thought wrong, he said bitterly. I left because I had to. Because I was trying to protect us. You think I wanted to disappear? You think it didn't kill me every day not to call you, not to come home? Christine covered her mouth as tears spilled down her cheeks. Then why now, Paul? Why come back like this? Paul's voice cracked with restrained emotion. Because I couldn't stay away anymore. I needed to see if there was still something worth saving. But I guess I got my answer the minute I walked in that door. Danny looked between them, guilt flashing across his face. Paul, I swear. But Paul didn't let him finish. You always find your way back to her, don't you? He hissed. Every time she's vulnerable, every time she's trying to move on, you're right there. You say it's friendship, but it's always more. You took advantage of what she was feeling, and you know it. Christine stepped between them, her hands trembling. Stop it. Both of you. This isn't helping anyone. But Paul wasn't listening anymore. His voice lowered, filled with a dangerous kind of sadness. You replaced me, Christine. And I don't think I can ever forgive you for that. Then, without another glance, he turned and walked out, leaving Christine in tears and Danny speechless. The aftermath was chaos. Danny tried to comfort Christine, but she pushed him away, sobbing uncontrollably. You don't understand, she cried. He's right. I did replace him. I didn't mean to, but I did. I moved on because I thought he'd never come back. Danny frowned, rubbing his bruised jaw. Chris, you can't blame yourself. He left you with no closure. You had every right to move on. But Christine couldn't stop shaking. He said he was protecting us. What if he's telling the truth? What if there's something I never knew? That question would haunt her for days. Rumors spread like wildfire across Genoa City, Paul's return, the punch, the 3 words. Everyone wanted to know what really happened to him during the years he was gone. Some said he was in witness protection. Others claimed he'd been tracking a dangerous criminal ring and couldn't risk contact. But one thing was certain, Paul Williams was back, and he wasn't the same man he once was. Later that night, alone in her apartment, Christine replayed every moment in her mind, the shock in Paul's eyes, the pain in his voice, the blood on Danny's face. She sank onto the couch, clutching an old photo of her and Paul from happier times. You replaced me. The words echoed like a curse. She whispered to the empty room, I didn't mean to. But there was no one left to hear her. Meanwhile, Paul stood on the bridge overlooking the city, his reflection shimmering in the dark water below. He wasn't proud of what he'd done. Punching Danny had been impulsive, emotional. But the betrayal cut too deep to ignore. He'd spent years fighting to get back, and this was his reward. Still, beneath the anger, there was a flicker of something else. Love. Regret. Hope. Maybe even a desire to start over. By the next morning, Christine knew she couldn't let things end that way. She found Paul at Crimson Lights, sitting alone with a cup of black coffee, staring into the distance. She hesitated, then approached quietly. Paul, she whispered. He didn't look up. I shouldn't have hit him, he said flatly. But I don't regret coming back. Christine sat down, tears still in her eyes. I didn't replace you, Paul. I tried to survive without you. I thought you were gone for good. Paul finally met her gaze, the anger fading into sorrow. You survived, he said quietly. But we didn't. That single sentence broke her. Christine reached across the table, her voice trembling. We can fix this, Paul. Please, tell me where you've been. Tell me the truth. Paul sighed heavily. You don't want to know what I've been through, he said. But I will tell you this, I came back because I still love you. I just don't know if you love me anymore. Christine's heart shattered all over again. She whispered, I never stopped. But before she could say anything else, Paul stood up. Then prove it, he said softly, and walked away again, leaving Christine to wonder if love could really survive everything that had come between them. In the coming days, Christine will be forced to face the fallout of that explosive moment, the gossip, the questions, the guilt. Danny's loyalty will be tested, as he begins to realize that Christine's heart may still belong to Paul, no matter how hard she tries to deny it. And Paul, now back in Genoa City, will uncover secrets from his missing years that could shake the entire town, including the shocking reason he stayed away in the first place. But one thing is certain, Paul's return has reignited emotions that Christine thought were buried forever. And those 3 devastating words, you replaced me, will haunt her every time she looks into his eyes, knowing that no matter how much time passes, she may never truly earn his forgiveness. Because when Paul Williams came back, he didn't just return to Genoa City. He came back for the truth. And this time, he won't leave until Christine finally tells him everything she's been hiding. The sun rose over Genoa City, but for Christine Blair, it felt like the world hadn't shifted at all. Her heart was still in that moment, the look in Paul's eyes after he said those 3 words. You replaced me. She'd replayed it again and again, the sting of guilt burrowing deep inside her chest. Paul's sudden return had turned her carefully reconstructed life into chaos. The man she thought she'd lost forever was back, and with him came an avalanche of emotions she didn't know how to control. That morning, Christine sat in her office at the district attorney's office, staring blankly at a stack of case files. She was supposed to be reviewing them for court, but all she could see was Paul's face, angry, wounded, betrayed. When the knock came on her door, she jumped slightly. It was Michael Baldwin, holding 2 coffees. You look like you could use one of these, he said with a sympathetic smile. Christine forced a weak chuckle. You have no idea. Michael handed her the cup and sat down. I heard about what happened at society, he said cautiously. Everyone did, actually. Paul's punch is practically legend now. Christine groaned, rubbing her temples. Wonderful. Just what I needed. The whole town gossiping about my love life. Christine, Michael said gently, you don't owe anyone an explanation. But I do need to ask, are you okay? She sighed deeply. No. Not even close. He came back out of nowhere, Michael. After years. No contact, no letters, no closure. And then he just shows up, punches Danny, and tells me I replaced him. Michael frowned. Do you think he's telling the truth about why he left? That he was protecting you? Christine hesitated. I don't know what to think anymore. But the way he looked at me, it wasn't just anger. There was something else there. Something darker. Something he hasn't told me. Michael nodded. Then maybe it's time you get some answers. Before this turns into another heartbreak for both of you. Christine took a shaky breath. You're right. I have to know the truth. Later that afternoon, she found herself standing outside Paul's old office at the Genoa City Police Department. The room had been closed off for years, but she'd heard whispers that Paul had been there earlier that morning. The door was slightly ajar. Paul, she called softly, stepping inside. He was there, standing by the window, staring out at the city skyline. His hands were in his pockets, his posture tense. He didn't turn around when she entered. I figured you'd find me, he said quietly. Christine closed the door behind her. I had to. We can't leave things like this. Paul finally turned to face her. His eyes were tired, shadowed by something heavy, the kind of pain that doesn't fade with time. Christine, he began, there are things you don't understand about why I left. Then help me understand, she said, her voice trembling. Because I've spent years trying to make sense of it. I thought you abandoned me. I thought I meant nothing. Paul shook his head. You were everything. That's why I had to go. Christine's confusion deepened. That doesn't make any sense. He took a step closer, his voice low. Do you remember the case I was working before I disappeared? The undercover operation tied to that international crime ring? Christine nodded slowly. Of course. You said it was dangerous, but you promised it would be over soon. Paul exhaled. It wasn't. It was worse than I expected. We found out there was a leak inside the department. Someone was feeding information to the wrong people, and they knew who I was. They made it clear, if I didn't back off, they'd come after you. Christine's eyes widened. Oh my God. I had no choice, Paul said. The FBI pulled me into a covert protection program. I couldn't contact anyone, not even you. They told me that if I did, you'd be in danger. For years, I lived off the grid, trying to bring them down from the inside. Every day, I wanted to call you. But every day, I knew it could cost you your life. Tears welled in Christine's eyes. You left to protect me. He nodded. But by the time I was free to come home, everything had changed. I saw you on the news, smiling with Danny, working together again. You looked happy. I thought, maybe I was too late. Christine's voice cracked. You weren't too late. You were just gone. I thought you chose to leave. I thought you stopped loving me. Paul's eyes softened. I never stopped. But watching you and Danny, I convinced myself that maybe you'd moved on. That maybe my disappearance was your closure. Christine shook her head, tears falling freely now. It wasn't closure, Paul. It was torture. I kept waiting, days, weeks, years, hoping you'd come home. And when you didn't, I tried to move forward because the pain of waiting was killing me. Paul's expression shifted, guilt etched deep into his features. I saw the photos of you two at events, the smiles. I told myself you'd replaced me. That you'd chosen him. I came back angry, and when I saw you at that table with him, I lost control. Christine reached out and took his hand, her voice trembling. You have every right to be angry. But I didn't replace you, Paul. I was just trying to survive. Paul's hand tightened around hers. And I was trying to protect you. But in the end, I just hurt you more. They stood there in silence, the weight of lost years pressing down on both of them. Then Christine spoke softly. Do you remember what you used to tell me when we first got married? Paul smiled faintly. That no matter how bad things got, we'd always find our way back to each other. Christine nodded. Then maybe it's not too late to do that again. Later that night, Christine invited Paul to her apartment for dinner. It was quiet, intimate, just the two of them, surrounded by memories of a life they once shared. Photos still hung on the wall, dusty reminders of happier times. As they ate, the tension slowly began to fade. Paul even managed a small laugh when Christine teased him about his cooking. For a moment, it almost felt normal. Almost. But underneath the laughter, something still lingered, something unspoken. Paul, Christine said softly, there's something I need to tell you too. He looked up, cautious. What is it? Christine took a deep breath. When you left, I tried to move on. But I never stopped loving you. I just buried it. And Danny, he was there when I was falling apart. He listened. He reminded me of who I used to be. But it was never about replacing you. It was about trying to feel alive again. Paul nodded slowly. I understand. He was your friend. Maybe I judged too harshly. She hesitated. But there's something else. Something I haven't told anyone. Not even Danny. Paul frowned. Christine, what is it? She swallowed hard. About a year after you disappeared, I got a call from an unknown number. The voice said your name, said you were alive, but I couldn't trace it. I thought it was a cruel prank, but now I wonder if it was you. Paul's eyes widened. It was. Christine gasped. You tried to call me? He nodded. Just once. I broke the rules. I couldn't take it anymore. I needed to hear your voice. But before I could say anything, the line went dead. The next day, they moved me again. I thought maybe you'd forgotten me. Christine's tears fell harder now. I never forgot you. Not for a single day. Paul reached across the table, cupping her face in his hands. I'm sorry, Christine. For everything. For leaving you to grieve a ghost.